All right, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about a new AI model that is making some serious waves. It's from Alibaba Cloud. It's called Qwen3.5. And you know what? It might just solve one of the biggest headaches in artificial intelligence today.
So, let's kick things off with the big problem in AI right now, this constant trade-off between power and efficiency. For the longest time, if you wanted to make an AI model smarter, more capable, you just had to make it bigger. The catch? Bigger models cost a fortune to run, and they're slow. Qwen3.5 is trying to change that entire equation. It wants to give us the best of both worlds, all the brainpower of a massive model, but with the speed and agility of something much, much smaller.
So how does it pull this off? Well, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll cover what this thing actually is. Then we'll dive into its secret sauce for efficiency, look at its incredible skills that go way beyond just text, check out its jaw-dropping memory, and finally wrap up with why this is such a potential game changer.
All right, first up, a new AI giant. Let's get right into what this thing actually is.
So this is Qwen3.5. It's the latest and greatest from the Qwen team, and it was built from the ground up for one specific purpose, to power the next generation of AI agents. Now, if you're not familiar, you can think of AI agents as little autonomous programs that can do complex stuff for you. Controlling apps, browsing the web, that kind of thing. This model is basically the engine built to supercharge those agents.
Now, what's really cool about this model is that it's not just about words. It's a true vision language model, which means it was trained to see and understand images right from day one. It's also a powerhouse coder, and get this, it can work in a whopping 201 different languages and dialects. I mean, that's a huge jump from what we've seen before.
Okay, so that's the what. Now for the how. Let's get into the secret sauce here, because this is where it gets really interesting.
So get this, the biggest version of this model is absolutely massive. It packs nearly 400 billion total parameters. Now, you can think of parameters as kind of like the connections in a brain. The more you have, the more powerful the model generally is. A number this big puts it right up there in the top tier of AI models in the world.
Okay, that's a huge number. But, and this is the crazy part, here's the number that changes everything. 17 billion. During any single task, it only uses 17 billion of those parameters. This is the whole magic trick. You get the intelligence of a nearly 400 billion parameter brain, but you get the speed and cost of a much smaller 17 billion parameter model.
So, how on earth is that possible? Well, it's all thanks to this brilliant idea called Mixture of Experts, or MoE. Here's a way to think about it. Instead of having one doctor who knows a little bit about everything, imagine you have a whole hospital of specialists. If you have a heart problem, you don't talk to the whole hospital, right? You just talk to the cardiologist. The MoE model does exactly that. It has hundreds of these little expert networks inside, and it only activates the ones it needs for the job, saving a ton of energy. And Qwen3.5 doesn't just stop there. It takes this idea and adds its own unique twist. It uses a hybrid design. So it doesn't just rely on the standard attention mechanism you hear about, which is powerful but also really computationally expensive. It smartly combines that with something new called gated delta networks, which are way more efficient. And this chart, it shows you that hybrid approach perfectly. You can see that a full 75% of its processing layers are these super fast, super efficient gated delta networks. Only a quarter of them are the more traditional heavy-duty gated attention blocks, which it saves for when it absolutely needs that extra power. It's this incredibly smart balance that gives it its speed.
So what's the bottom line here? A massive speed up. We're talking anywhere from an 8 to a 19-fold increase in how fast it can process information. That's not just a little faster. That is a gigantic leap. And this is what starts to solve that whole high-cost problem of running these huge AI models.
Okay, so all that speed and efficiency, it's not just for show. It unlocks some absolutely incredible new skills, starting with its ability to see. And I don't mean it just recognizes images. It understands them on a really deep level.
So why is it so good with images? Well, it comes down to how it was trained, using a method called early fusion. A lot of other models, they learn about text first, and then vision gets kind of tacked on later. Not Qwen3.5. It learned from images and text at the exact same time, right from the very beginning. So for this model, understanding visuals isn't an add-on, it's a core skill.
And because it understands visuals so deeply, it can do these really complex agentic tasks that feel almost human. Like, you can show it a screenshot of a website design, and poof, it spits out the working code to build it. It can watch a long video and tell you what happens with second-by-second accuracy. And it's fantastic at something called function calling, which is basically the ability to control other apps.
All right, next up, let's talk about memory. And I have to say, the scale here is just staggering. We're talking about the model's context window, which is just a fancy way of saying how much stuff it can think about all at once.
The Plus version of this model can handle 1 million tokens of information in one go. For context, that is a gigantic leap forward for processing really long documents or conversations.
So what does 1 million tokens actually look like? Well, think about it. That's enough space to feed it an entire software codebase, or the full transcript of a 2-hour movie. For anyone who builds with AI, this is huge. It means for a lot of tasks, you can just give the model a big, complex document directly, and you don't have to build one of those complicated and sometimes flaky RAG systems to go find the information. Okay, so we've got insane efficiency, we've got these incredible new skills, but how does it actually stack up against the competition? Let's look at the benchmarks. Well, the numbers don't lie. This thing is a beast across the board. When it comes to coding, it's right up there with the best proprietary models. We already know about its massive language support, and when it comes to acting like an agent, it actually beats many of the big-name closed-source models on a key test called IF-Bench.
All right, so if you take away just 4 things from all this, let it be these. First, that hybrid efficiency, the clever mix of networks that makes it so fast. Second, the whole massive scale, low footprint idea, all the power, none of the baggage. Third, its native multimodality, which makes it a natural with visuals. And fourth, that huge 1 million token memory.
And really, it all comes back to this one key idea. By cracking the efficiency problem, Qwen 3.5 makes the absolute top tier of AI power way more accessible and affordable for people to actually use and build with. It's basically democratizing power. So this leaves us with a really big question, right? Is this the future? Is this mixture of experts approach, this idea of a giant brain that only uses the specialized parts it needs, the direction that all of AI is headed? Qwen 3.5 makes a very, very powerful case that the future of AI isn't just about being bigger, but about being smarter and a whole lot more efficient.